You look like a jumbie. Stop doing that.
I look like a zombie.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my God! Don't stop it. We're live. We're live.
Oh,
We're live.
okay. Well, hello, world.
Oh my gosh! Good day. Another beautiful day. Welcome to Cacoa If you're just joining us, we like to do and we like to let the viewers come in, so we talk a little shite. Before the viewers come in, just get them.
Oh, I'm good at that.
Warm them up. You good at talking shite?
Well, you first. You first.
We had a little we had a bit of fun getting set up for the show. We came on earlier. First of all, I just want to let the viewers know that you did not even have a Facebook account. So I'm honored that you'd open up a Facebook account just for me.
Yes,
Just
yes.
for me. We'll talk a little bit about why you don't have a
It will
Facebook
be immediately deleted
account. Jeez,
after we're
what?
done.
We'll talk a little bit about that during
Fine.
the course of
Okay.
the show. But we wanna on why you don't have a Facebook account. I mean, like, who on earth? We'll talk about that. Don't say nothing.
Okay. All right. All right.
Don't say nothing yet. But we wanna thank you and thank the viewers. Who are we have three people online right now, so they're gonna be coming on, and we warm them up a bit, and then we get them. What you drinking? Your island mug.
Kokoti. Come on, no.
Yeah.
Was Was there anything else?
Is there anything else that you could be drinking?
I mean, it's a Sunday night. There's not much you can drink on a Sunday night.
Okay, so I'm happy to have you here with us, and
No
just
problem.
let the viewers know that you can comment at any time during the course of the show. You can also ask your questions. He will choose to answer them if he wants to.
Oh, yes, that's
He'd be
PG
like,
13 PG 13 questions. Yes.
PG-13 questions.
Yes.
And I'm sure he'll be happy to give you your the appropriate answers. But I just wanna sort of talk a little bit about Dwayne and how I know Dwayne and the story behind knowing Dwayne, just before we get to know who Dwayne is.
Okay.
I met Dwayne, wow, years ago. I was a teenager.
Yes.
Like, I was a teenager when I met Dwayne, in Toronto, and
Scarborough
I
Town Center.
yes, and learned he was Dominican and all of that, and met his mom and all of whatever. And then a little while after, I met a young woman, and it was just like I said to her, "Oh, I'm Dominican." She was friends with somebody else because I worked in the mall at the time, and she worked in the mall, and she was friends with somebody that I was friends with, and we got introduced to each other, and I was like, I like that girl. It was like an instant connection. And then she goes, "Where
Shy, shy.
you from?" I go, "Where you from?" She goes, I'm she goes, "Where you from?" I'm like, "I'm Dominican." She goes, "For real?" "I'm Trini." She goes, I know this other one Dominican guy." I'm like, "Really? What's his name?" She goes, "And I'm like, "I know Dwayne." And yeah, that was it. that was that was it. And it's so funny because, like, I've met other people who know you and who know her, and they'll say to me, "Oh, how you know her?" Like,
Mm,
they find it strange that I know her, right? And I'm
mm.
like, "I know her before I know all of y'all." Like, just to be clear, I've known her for like forever. Like, even my cousin last year was surprised at how long I've known the person I'm talking about.
Mm.
That kind of connected the
I
two
think
of us.
you've known her pretty much the same time or just about the same time you've known me. Yeah.
That's correct. That's correct. So since back in my teenage years, and so many things has happened for both of us, and I'm very happy to have you here
Thank you.
on on my show. Welcome to Caco Tea.
Thank
I
you.
just want to give you a little rundown as to who Dwayne Murphy is. He was born on the nature island of the Caribbean in the
Whoa, whoa,
commonwealth
whoa, 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 whoa.
of Dominica. He moved to Canada with his parents at the age of 4. He was persuaded to start acting and graduated with honors from Humber College, acting for film and television program. Over a decade later, he's been featured in various US and Canadian productions, including TV series like Degreassi, The Next Generation, where he played Eric, Ghost Whisperer. You were in The Mentalist, Nikita, Rogue, Agent Trahn in. I didn't even know you were on that show. I had to like go back and be like, oh my god, right? Because I actually watched that show, but he was Agent Trahn in CW's Beauty and the Beast. I remember seeing you when you featured in Suits. I was screaming my lungs out. Little dog, little dog on CBC TV, which airs every Thursday.
That's
and
right.
that's a TV series Star Trek Discovery as Captain Maddox, which airs on CBS this year, as well as Doom Patrol's member Negative Man in DC's Titan, and that was just actually announced like not
Last
too long
week.
ago.
Yeah, last week.
Yeah. Hi to Dwayne Murphy. Hi, Dwayne.
Hello, 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 hello. Hi, hello.
It's good to have you. It's good to have you on here with us again.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate you being here. Dwayne, tell us, who's Dwayne Murphy?
Oh, geez. Who is Dwayne Murphy? I'm a son. I am a spouse. I'm a father. I'm a good friend. And I'm honestly, I tell people all the time, I'm just a regular down-to-earth Caribbean boy. And that's it. Like, I go to work, which just happens to be set or filming, and I come home, and that's it. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell. I just like to grind and keep my head down and just quietly chug along and do my thing. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
And how did you actually end up living in Toronto, Canada? Because you migrated from Dominica. Tell us about the process.
Well, how that worked was my father actually came to Canada, and then, just the evolution of migration, as parents do. They go first. They kind of scout and make sure it's good for their family. So my father came first, and then he filed for my mother and me to come. So I was about 4 when I left Dominica. So unfortunately, I've kind of like lost all my accent, and like I don't know how to speak Creole, unfortunately. I know how to swear because my mother used to swear at me all the time in Creole. So, but like I've gone back a few times since I've left. But I left when I was 4, so I was pretty young. And I've been in Toronto. I lived there until I was 21. Then I moved to the States. I was living in LA for 4 years, and I kind of didn't like living in LA, and I didn't like living in the States. So I moved back to Toronto, and I kind of just go back and forth now. But my home base is Toronto, and that's where I like to be and live. So
good. So you've been here for quite some time, and as you clearly say, you have no Dominican accent.
Yeah.
You sound seriously. Do you have a switch? Can you switch between a little?
I mean, I can turn it on sometimes if you need it to come on. I mean,
you sound really southern on set.
No. I'm just messing. If I'm around Dominicans, then sometimes I'll say certain things in Dominican, but like, most of the time, I can't. Like, I understand it, but I don't really speak it.
Okay. Now, what is one thing you've learned as someone coming from the Caribbean, and I mean, knowing your parents are from Dominica, raised in Dominica? They became adults in Dominica, so to speak. What is one thing you've learned as someone coming from the Caribbean and migrating and being and living here now in Canada?
Something that I've learned from migrating. Well, the biggest thing I've learned is that traveling from a young age is just very important. It just gives you a broader perspective of the world and understanding that, it's not just this little bubble that we all have of our own cultures and our own lives and our own homes. It's really just like there's this big world out there. And I think the earlier you're able to travel and get out in the world and see things, it just gives you a better sense of life and understanding of what kind of person you want to become. So that's probably the biggest thing I learned since moving to Canada and leaving, you know, the tiny little island, a beautiful island of Dominica. So
now, most recently, like sort of to digress a little bit, as you mentioned, Dominica recently struck by devastated by Hurricane Maria. How did you feel? You know, what sort of emotions? You know.
oof. Well, I know I sent down a couple barrels with my some other family members of mine to family that we have down there, and it was just tough. It was tough to deal with because it was like I felt helpless. You know, I felt like I couldn't do anything. But we have an association up here in Toronto, and they were working out of a local storage. And they were loading containers to send down on a constant basis. I think all up till like last week or the week before, they've been sending down, like they sent down a big mattress drive that they did for beds and stuff like that. So I was just happy that, you know, we gathered together and we were doing something as individuals up in Toronto for our country back home. So that was the big thing that I was happy about. But on my personal end, I sent down some barrels and stuff for families of mine.
Okay, Marvin says, Marvin says, you have the accent self. Don't make him fool you. That's what Marvin. Marvin is locked on. We have quite a few people.
Yeah.
Who are,
sorry, 1 second.
Coming on.
I'm here. Sorry.
All right now. All right. So, when did you decide to actually get into acting, and what incited that interest?
For me, it was I think I had an experience with a drama teacher in grade 10. 11. And basically she told me, like, you know, I was just being a class clown. I was always the class clown. That was my thing. I just enjoyed making people smile. And I was kind of going through a tough time in my life when I was younger because my parents were splitting up and all that. So for me, it was just, I wanted people to smile. So in order to kind of mask my pain, I always decided that I would just be the class clown and make people laugh. So that was my thing. And for me, it was all about doing that, coming to school and just making people laugh in drama class. So one day I kind of had a drama teacher. She told me, like, look, you should just take this seriously. You're actually pretty good at this whole drama thing and kind of tapping into emotions that, you know, people can't really get to on their own, or they're not open with sharing in front of people. And I'm always like an open person. Like I believe in vibes and energies and all that stuff. So for me, it was just something that I think was always naturally in me. But until I had that confrontation with my teacher in grade 11, my drama teacher in high school, it was something that I really started to think about seriously. And then my father had a friend who was a sports broadcaster for TSN back in like the late 90s, kind of early 2000s. And I was like, yo, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. I want to do sports broadcasting. And then I was a big fan of Fresh Prince. So I was like, man, if I could do sports broadcasting, I'll do that. And then it kind of snowballed from there. And then I just ended up getting into acting because what happened is I got an internship co-op program through high school to be basically a stage manager's assistant in the Toronto Performing Arts Center. And then what happened was in high school, grade 12, I did that for a full season. And then after that was done, I was like, okay, now I know what I want to do. I want to be an actor because I was around actors. I saw them put on a stage performance. And that's kind of where I decided I wanted to become an actor. So it was actually in co-op in grade 12 that kind of pushed me over the hump, and I was able to be around actors and pick their brains. And that's where I made my full decision of where I wanted to be an actor. So it kind of happened in high school, but it was always something that was part of me.
So you were sort of mentored into it.
I was, but again, I feel like, you know, only child syndrome. Me and my active imagination just
they just let you do what you want.
Yeah, you know, I was always the kid watching, you know, watching action films and reimagining them, and, you know, jumping off my bed pretending I'm like flying through the sky as like a superhero, and it's just stupid stuff like that, because, you know, only child syndrome, right? So got to make up your friends, right? But yeah, it was always something that was a part of me, performing, you know, just the genuine enjoyment of like literally seeing people laugh and escape their problems. I just love that look on people's face when they can, you know, when you go to the movies and you watch a movie and the movie's so good, it just takes you away from, you forget everything. Like, I went to watch Black Panther last night for the second time, and it was just as good the second time, because it just takes you away. It takes you, you literally believe everything you're watching on the screen. Like, I believe Wakanda is a real place.
Like, for real.
You can't tell me Wakanda is not real. It is real. Okay. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
What was your absolute favorite role ever in all the roles that you've played? Ooh. What would you say would be your most favorite role?
Good question. That's a really good question. My most favorite role, and it's crazy because every time I do a job, it's like, it's always different. I've been able to not have, you know, some people get typecasted and they play the same roles over and over and over, and because they have a certain look. Mm-hmm. And, you know, me being a young Black African-American man, that's, I could easily fall into that pitfall of, you know, the gangbanger, or, sometimes I get he's the nice boyfriend next door for the Black guy, you know what I mean? Or the token Black guy, the best friend, you know, I could fall easily into those categories. But I've been lucky to be able to play all types of different roles. Let me see. The best one, I mean, each one comes with its own challenges, but the best one I would say for me was I got to play a detective on the show called Played. And the great thing about that was we were kind of playing characters within characters, because you had to play a cop who would then go undercover to then, you know, bust up a drug ring or something, or a prostitution ring. And so it's literally, you're playing a character within a character, which was pretty cool. But like, there's been other challenging roles where I had to play like a one-armed PTSD guy who was a bank robber. So I had to pretend I had an amputated arm, struggling with PTSD and all this stuff. And then I end up having this like big shootout with the cops. So like, every role brings its own challenges, but I don't know, man, it's hard to pinpoint which is my favorite. I like them all in their own way, because they're so different and unique and special, and I connect with them some sort of special way. But I guess the cop one right now, but then I've also been like I'm also a superhero right now. So it's like,
I know, like you're doing.
It's hard to pinpoint, but I love them all.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question. Like, you're playing different roles. How hard or easy is it to cry?
Hold on, let me see. Nah, I don't know. No, I mean,
what do you think of? What do you think about when you have to actually play a person like you're about to cry?
Oh, good question. So for me, just to kind of share how I work with my technique, the big thing is I like to use, like, for me, acting is very hand in hand with real life. So, you know, I tap into things that I already know and feel. So if I have to cry for a character, depending on what the character is crying about, if it's something that I've been through, I just tap into that experience from, you know, let's say something that happened, it could be donkey years ago, you know, like from my childhood, or, you know, whatever. But if however it made me feel in that time and it made me feel like crying, I just tap into that past experience to bring up those same emotions. Which I guess is kind of weird, because people are like, how do you even remember those things, or how do you do that? But then if you really think about it, like, we all remember pretty much every time we cry.
True.
Right? You remember every time you cry.
You remember that feeling.
That's what I'm saying. You know that feeling. So for me, I tap into that feeling by just bringing up the memory of what it was that I was going through and trying to apply it to the circumstances that's in the script. And that's, you know, the word for that is called method acting. That's what that's called. So I'm very method. I believe like, you know, whatever's happening in front of me at the time that's in the script, I've somehow related to that in my real life. So that's how I kind of tap into that.
Now I'm even like sticking to that, say along those same lines.
Mm-hmm.
You have to cry in this role, but you have like 12 takes.
That's when it gets hard. That's when it gets hard.
How hard or easy is it? You know,
that's when it gets hard. So like, you know, you start crying and then that's your first take, you know, then the director's like, okay, great. Take 10. Bring it back for me, please. But no, what people don't realize is that, you know, in those takes, you know, you might have a wide take, you might have a close up, you might have a, you know, so then you got to know that's when you start knowing you know, every business has its techniques and its tricks that you use. And for me, it's all about, you know, you want to wait till the camera gets to the close up. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm not going to cry when the camera's all the way back there like this. But when I get to that close up and I'm right here and the camera's all in my face, you know, that's when you want the magic to happen. So you kind of, you know, you learn your techniques and as any job in any business, there's tools and tricks of the trade that you use. So that's kind of what I do. And, you know, you also got to pace yourself. Because as they say, you don't want to give everything right away because, you know, I got, you know, 6, 7, however many more takes it is that the director is going to want or need. So, you know, you pace yourself and that's kind of it, you know.
I'm taking tips. You never know. I might decide.
Let me drink my tea.
Let me drink your tea. I might decide to get into acting. You never know. You know.
Hey, you can do it. You could do it.
I'm enjoying the tips. You know.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's talk about your family life. Tell us about life growing up.
Ooh, wow. I mean, I had a pretty good life. I'm not gonna lie.
You're an only child. I mean, we know that already.
I mean, I'm an only child from my mother. So I do have a couple other siblings. But as for growing up, I grew up an only child by myself. I come from two Dominican parents, father and mother, both Dominican, born and raised. They live in Canada with me, obviously now. So for me, I had a good life because I had both my parents in my life. I didn't have them both under the same roof, which was a little tough when I was going through that. And, you know, my upbringing was stable for the most part, raised by a strong single mother. But I had a lot of time to myself. My mom was always working, you know, when my parents split up, my dad was always working. So I had to see my dad under, certain times of the week.
Okay.
So for me, it was a tough experience because, you know, every kid wants to have their parents in the same house growing up. So I always felt like I did something wrong as a kid as to why my parents weren't together. I was like, oh man, like I messed up as a son, or I did something wrong as a child, which led to my parents not being together. So I kind of had to deal with that growing up and like had to like learn for myself, like, you know, no, I didn't do anything wrong. That's just kind of how life is. And people fall in and out of love and da, 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 da. So for me, it was tough. It was tough because, you know, I always had the vision that they painted on TV of, you know, the white picket fence, the dog, the mom and the dad, and, oh, honey, do you want some orange juice and bacon and eggs and da, 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 like Sunday morning breakfast and all that stuff. So I always had that vision of what a family should be like. And then when my family kind of broke up, it took a toll on me. But I think it shaped the man that I became today. And I think it's helped the profession that I'm in because I'm able to channel those emotions and use them for positivity. So it was, I would say for the most part, my childhood growing up was tough. But I mean, there's a lot, you know, tougher experiences out there that people go through, but I love it because I love it, how it shaped me and who I became from it. So, yeah.
Would you say that, you're totally against families splitting up?
Say that again. Sorry.
Would you say you're totally against families splitting up? Like, because you said how much.
Right. No, that's a good question. No, you know what? No, I mean, at the end of the day, the biggest thing that I've learned, growing up and now having my own family is that, you know, in order for two people to be successful individuals, parents and spouses, they have to know who they are, you know, before entering any kind of union relationship. They have to know where they stand. They have to know, you know, what their calling is in the universe and all those things, because I believe the stronger an individual is on their own with their own self-worth and all those things, the better person, spouse and unionship or / relationship they will have. So I'm not against people splitting up. I'm a just big believer in make sure you know yourself going into a relationship. And a lot of people, I think, don't know themselves very well before they get into a relationship. They kind of are longing for companionship. Instead of
avoid.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people don't focus on themselves and focus on who they need to be and bettering themselves before they get into a relationship. They think getting into a relationship does all that. And I'm like, you know, but that's just from my upbringing. But, you know,
it is what it is, right?
It is what it is.
All right. Now, based on what you just said, if somebody were to ask you, Dwayne, describe yourself in one sentence.
Ooh, oh boy, one sentence. Okay.
What would you say? You looking for that sentence?
No, I got it. Refuse to fail.
Refuse to fail.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's not a complete sentence, but just I refuse to fail. That's just me. You know, I believe that no matter whatever ups and downs people have in their life, like, there's never a reason to fail, like, or quit or give up. You know what I mean? I come from a profession of no, like, professional no's. That's all you get is no, 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 no. You didn't book the part. You didn't book the part. You didn't book the part. Okay, you finally booked the part. Now we want you, right? So it's like,
so you've gotten a lot of no's.
Oh, heck yeah. Come on. I've been in the business 11 years. 11 years I've been in the acting business, and you know, you go through a lot of no's before you get that one yes. So for me, the best sentence to describe me is, you know, I will never lose, or I can't fail. You know, it's just, I don't believe in that.
So getting all these no's, how does it make you feel? Do you feel broken? Do you feel hurt? What sort of emotions go through? Because I can't imagine, or I'm trying to imagine you going up for a role where you have to cry. Right?
That's because you know me on a personal basis. That's why
I know. and then you cry. Okay, they say do it again, and you cry. Do it again because you're auditioning for that role, right? And then you gotta wait a couple days. And then a couple days later, they call you up and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Dwayne, you did not get the part."
Sometimes you don't even get a phone call. Well, I mean, the thing is,
how does it make you feel though?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm human. Sometimes I feel like I suck and I'm just like, what am I doing wrong? You know, but the thing about, again, this kind of comes back to a lot of my upbringing and how I view life now because of it, is that you have to see the bigger picture of things. You know what I mean? Everybody has their own place and time in the universe. And the thing is, as long as you keep working hard, and I mean hard, like work hard, keep your head down and grind and hustle and do the things that you need to do to better yourself at your craft, whatever your craft is. Cause like your craft can be, you could be a mechanic, you could be a chef, you could be whatever. At the end of the day, in order to be the best at your craft, is you want to do things that are bettering you in that field. Because at the end of the day, the better you get, it's going to stand out, and your hard work is going to start, you know, showing to others, and they're going to want to bring you in and be like, I got to work with this person because I like what they're doing. I like their vibe. I like their energy. So that's kind of how I've dealt with all the no's. It's like, okay, cool. That wasn't meant for me. Let's move on to the next thing. Maybe that's meant for me. And eventually, like, once you start looking past the no's, you don't even remember them. You only remember the yeses. So I barely remember the no's now. I only remember the yeses, those are the only ones that count at the end of the day.
Really and truly, those are the only ones.
Why am I going to focus on the no's then?
Can we get personal?
I thought we were already getting personal.
Really personal.
Oh boy, jeez. Remember PG. It's Facebook.
PG, yeah. Tell us, are you single? Doing single? You did say your family, and
Yes.
when you relate to your family during our conversation thus far, it's been your mom and dad. The dynamics of that. So I know there are a lot of sisters out there probably looking. They're like, he kind of cute, and he Dominican weed.
Oh, good boy. Yeah, no, I'm happily in a relationship. I am happily in a relationship with someone I've known, for half my life, who you know very well as well. And the thing about her is that, she centers me. She's Trini. So, Trini women have hot blood. But she centers me. She centers me because she always keeps things in perspective for me. And it's funny because our relationship was it was weird because we broke up and then we were together in high school.
I remember that. I was like, because I remember she saying to me, I'm not even know. It was no big drama.
Yeah.
No big, like most girls were like, I can't stand that fella. He just did it. She's like, she was like, we're not doing it no more. And that was the end of the conversation. No descriptions.
Yeah.
No long story. And then I remember going on her Facebook and she was expecting, and I was like, what did I miss?
Yeah.
What did I miss something?
Well, I mean, we broke up and then we were like, we were always revolving around each other in the world, and my family really likes her and her family really likes me. So we always kind of had that interconnectedness, even though we weren't together for a while, and then we got back together, and now here we are, and we're living happily ever after, I guess, as they call it. So no, but we're good, and I'm happy, and I can't complain, and it's nice to be able to just for me, my profession is ridiculous. It takes me all over the world.
And that's what I was coming to, because I was going to ask you, how does it feel when you have to leave for long periods of time? Like you say, you go back and forth to LA. And I remember sometimes like being here in Toronto now, she'd say to me, oh, Dwayne's gone for 2 weeks. And I'm like, wow. She says, but then I think about you and I don't feel so bad anymore.
Well, I mean, yes.
The dynamics of my relationship now. Yes, and she's like, I don't feel so bad anymore.
Well, I mean, that kind of goes back to what I was talking about, was when two individuals are so strong with their own self-identity. You okay over there? You okay?
I'm okay.
Oh, good, boy. You okay?
I'm okay. Yeah. My phone fell and everything fell on it.
No. But what I was saying before is that when two individuals are just strong, standing individuals on their own, they're able to revolve around each other, whether they're close or far apart, and still know that they have that respect and love from their partner. And it just comes with the strength of knowing each other and just knowing individually where we stand and who we are in the relationship. So for us, it's like, even when we're apart, we have our things that we do to make sure we check in with each other and just make sure everything's good and everyone's all right. But she gets it. She sees the bigger picture of what I'm doing, and I see the bigger picture of what I'm doing. And usually, to be honest with you, the time flies. Like, I was gone last year for 5 weeks doing a job, and I swear to you, I felt like I was done in 2 weeks, and I was back home. Didn't even excuse me. Woo.
Bless you.
Didn't even feel like I was gone for 5 weeks. But at the end of the day, it's like, we just keep chugging, and you do what you need to do. And once your partner understands and respects, once you have a partner that understands and respects each other and what they're doing, then it's nothing. You just keep pushing.
What sort of advice would you give to someone who is probably dealing or considering a long distance relationship? Because you guys don't really have a long distance relationship, but at times there's the long distance aspect of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times women or men may feel, I can't do long distance. Like, this is just not for me. I need to have my spouse or my partner near
Mm-hmm.
me. I need to know what's going on. What sort of advice would you give to someone who's
Um,
probably...
my biggest advice would be just like trust and seeing the bigger picture of the relationship. Understanding that, okay, yes, we're far apart, but it's for a time, it's for a moment in the relationship. It's not the rest of the relationship. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yes, okay, we're apart for 6 months, but okay, let me just buckle down and get through these 6 months instead of focusing on the 6 months. Let me focus past the 6 months, so that before the time comes, the time is come and gone. It's like, oh, wait, we're here together now. You know what I mean? Oh, that was 6 months. It didn't even feel like that. I was so focused on doing all the things I needed to do to better myself, so that when I'm back together with this person, or when I see this person again, I've improved myself so that I'm even more open and ready for them in our relationship. So the biggest thing is trust. And I would say having a strong sense of self will get you through any distance at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, love is love. You know what I mean? Love conquers all. As cliche as that sounds, it's true. You know what I mean? You can be in Timbuktu, and if you love somebody, you love somebody. That's all that matters. And as long as you guys are focusing to be better individuals, so that when you do get back together, or when you do see each other, you understand that time is precious and you treat it as such.
How does Dwain stay focused?
Ooh, good question. I love that question, because a lot of people don't understand how hard it is to have a strong mental will and self-discipline. So for me, the way I stay focused is having a strong mental will and self-discipline. I love to go to the gym. I love to improve myself. I love to improve my mind. I'm always looking for me, the biggest thing is to stay focused is, how do I improve myself on a day-to-day basis? How do I improve myself mentally? How do I improve myself physically? And how do I improve myself spiritually? I believe if you're not tackling one of those things every day, then, what are you driving towards? What's your end goal? What is your passion that's driving you every day? So for me, I know what my passion is, and I engage in one of those three things at least every day, once a day: mental, spiritual, or physical progression. And if you're challenging yourself to learn one of those things every day, you'll stay focused on whatever it is you love. So for me, that's how I stay focused.
Wow. Do you have any regrets?
Oh, geez. I don't like that word.
Wow,
I don't like that word. I hate that word, regret.
Tell me why you don't like that word,
I
regret.
don't like that word, boy. Okay, let me see. The reason I don't like that word, regrets or failure or any of those, like, there's certain words I don't use in my vocab. Regrets is one of them. The reason I don't like it is because everything in our life happens for a reason. So if you regret something, that means you didn't learn from it. Because whatever it is that you were supposed to learn from that moment, whether it be good or bad, you can't regret it, because it's supposed to teach you something. So I don't regret anything. I enjoy everything. I enjoy the challenge, good or bad. And I mean that, positive or negative, because you learn from everything, and you have to see what it is that situation is trying to teach you. So I don't regret anything.
Someone is actually asking a question.
Sure.
Going back to they've actually pulled you up on their TV screen, so they're looking at it like they're watching the Oprah Winfrey show.
Oh boy. Okay.
How difficult is it to memorize lines?
Ooh, good question.
What are those pressures like, knowing others may be on top of their game?
That's a good question. And for me, now it's very different in every case for actors. Some actors have a really, really hard time learning lines. Other actors, it's like they just look at the paper once and they know what they want to do. For me, I have a bit of a photographic memory, so I can, like, when it comes to learning lines, it's really easy for me to learn lines. And every actor has their process, their homework that they do to prepare. But for me, it's not hard to learn lines. I can learn a piece of dialogue depending on what it is, but it usually takes me like less than an hour, 30 minutes sometimes. It just depends on how much I'm saying. But there's tricks and tools that you're supposed to use. Like I love learning lines in my basement on my treadmill, because when you're running, you're saying the lines and you got to learn how to breathe and run at the same time. And then you're getting it in your body, not just in your head, because, you know, lines have emotions, and lines have, you know, significance. And like when people are talking, like I talk with my hands a little bit. So when you're talking, you're trying to figure out, okay, how does this character move? How does this character work? What's their energy like? So I love getting on the treadmill and learning lines. So that's one of my biggest pet peeves. But learning lines for me is not hard. It's not hard at all.
And the second part of her question about the pressures, knowing that others may be on top of their game.
Oh, I mean, hey, as much as you want other people to be on top of the game, because you want to come in on top of your game too. So it's not much of a pressure. It's more of you know, it's just like anything else, any other job. You show up to your job and you've got a big meeting or big presentation that you have to present in front of everybody. And the biggest thing is you rehearse the night before, whatever it is that you're presenting, and you come in on top ready to go. And that's just being like any other athlete would. They practice, and then you get ready for the big game day. So it's the same thing as acting. You put in all the work the night before, the time before, leading up to filming. And when you come in, you're ready to go. Don't get me wrong. That's why we have multiple takes, because eventually you will mess up one or forget a line, but that's just how the game goes, you know? So it's not really a pressure. It's more of just what comes with the territory.
Jasmine was saying, yes, agreed. There's a reason for everything, even if it's a negative outcome. The positive is that you have earned a lesson, or you have learned a lesson, and is added to the manual of your life.
Yes, Xavier, preach.
It's Xavier.
Oh, okay. Well, I said his last name.
It's Xavier.
Xavier, sorry.
Yes, we're Dominican. Don't try with your Xavier.
I live in Canada now, so they say Xavier where I'm from. But I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name, sir.
Somebody's asking, another person's asking, how flexible do you have to be with the lines? Like, do you have to know them word for word?
No, you do not have to know them word for word.
Really? I always thought that you guys had to know, like,
no,
word for word.
And that's a big misconception. That is a big misconception. People always think, oh, I have to say it with the, I skipped the and I skipped the was and the at, and no. The biggest thing they want as an actor,
presentation.
Well, yes, they just want you to convey the emotions that is being presented on the piece of paper. Yes, you might miss a the, yes, you might miss an at or an all or blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, as long as the context is said and kept within the frame of the script, that is all that they care about.
Well, Mr. Xavier said that he lives in Canada too.
Hey,
he just wanted to clarify that he lives in Canada too. He also says, I'm a big fan of Trekkie, Star Trek.
Ah, yes, okay.
What can you tell us about your character in Star Trek Discovery?
Well, for me, I was only in 2 episodes, but what I can tell you is Sonequa Green, she plays the captain. Michael Burnham on the show, she's the lead. I will say she's a phenomenal woman, a great actress, and a positive woman. She's just leading the way with the whole show. With my character, I had the pleasure of doing a scene with her, and I play a captain of another ship. And what happens is we get some orders from our emperor that we need to go on a mission, and I'm presenting her with the mission. And that's basically what happens in the 2 episodes that I'm in. And then I have a big fight sequence with Jason Isaacs. And I can't give away too much without you watching it. So you got to go watch it. But
when does it come out?
It's already out. It already came out. It came out back in January. My 2 episodes aired back in January. So you can go back and watch it. It's already out. So yeah, I play a captain of another ship, and then I come in and I have to tell Sonequa's character, that we have this big mission and we need to go on it, and that's what we do.
Would you say acting is a difficult job?
Ooh, it's difficult because of the financial aspect, and just not knowing where you're going to be and how much money you're going to make every month or every year. Some people have that, the 9 to 5, which is fine. And they know exactly how much money they're going to make every 2 weeks. And at the end of the month, they're going to have exactly this. And at the end of the year, they know exactly what they made. For me, it's not like that. For me, it's different. Month to month is always different. So the financial aspect.
There's no month to month.
It's pretty much day by day. But I mean, at the end of the day, that comes with being an adult. You got to be smart about your money and your finances and all that stuff. So, you may book a big project, but then you might not work for 3 months until another project. So you just got to be smart about your finances. But through the grace of God, I've been able to do this and rarely ever had to pick up a side job, because acting has been able to pay the bills and take care of my family. And then on top of that, the only other difficult thing is just scheduling stuff. Sometimes family want to do stuff and schedule things months in advance. And I'm like, look, I would love to say yes, but just know that I might have to back out because I might book a job and have to go to Timbuktu and do this. And then, but again, being with individuals and people, loved ones that understand these things, they kind of roll with the punches and we do what we need to do to make stuff work. So those are the only two things that are hard: planning stuff and financially.
You mentioned Timbuktu twice. Have you been there?
I actually love Timbuktu,
You mentioned that. I was like, is that a Dominican thing? Like, what the?
I think it is. I really do.
Dominica, your mother probably used that a lot, right?
They always, it's funny.
Timbuktu,
and they always want to talk about Peter and Paul and Joseph, and you're like, but wait, who are Peter and Paul? What? Who? You outside with Peter and Paul and Joseph, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't even have friends named Peter and Paul. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a West Indian. That's a West Indian / Dominican thing.
I don't know.
What does the future hold for Dwain?
Ooh, man, I wish I could tell you, but all I know is what is in front of me right now. Just continuing the acting path. Currently doing this show called Titans, where I play Negative Man in the Doom Patrol. So that's coming.
Who's Negative Man? Tell me a little bit about Negative Man.
Okay, so the new show that I'm doing is it's called Titans. I'm part of a group called the Doom Patrol within the show. The Doom Patrol is this old comic book from the 1960s, and they're finally putting them into live action. So this is the first time anyone's ever going to see them on TV. And I play a character called Larry Trainor, aka Negative Man. So Larry Trainor he used to be a fighter pilot, and on one of his missions, he flies into this cloud that's radioactive and has negative energy, it was called. And then he crashes, and then he basically becomes radioactive. So he has to have all these bandages put all over his body to keep the radioactivity from hurting other people. They're specially treated bandages. And that's who I play. I play the Bandage Man. I kind of look similar to the Invisible Man. If you've ever seen the Invisible Man when he has his bandages on, I kind of look similar to that. Hello, Vanessa Dupuy, the Commonwealth of Dominica Association of Western Canada is tuned in. That's my mom, for everybody who doesn't know. That's my mom.
Your biggest supporter.
My mother. But anyways, so I play Larry Trainor, Negative Man. He's a part of the Doom Patrol. That show will be airing, the Titans TV show, will be airing later in the fall of this year. Okay. And DC is going to have their own streaming service. So it's going to be similar to a Netflix service where you can subscribe to them, and then the show will be on there, and that'll be worldwide. So everyone will be able to see that. What else?
You're also playing
oh yes,
Little Dog.
Yes, I forgot. Sorry.
Little Dog. I want to know about Little Dog.
Okay, so currently you can see me Thursday nights, but this is only for our Canadian viewers. Sorry, my US partners.
Well, if you have, there are ways and means of
yes, you can go to the bootleg sites and.
Yeah, I did not say that, my brother. Like, I
they
did
all
not.
we all knew what you meant.
I just said there are ways and means.
But
Like,
so what you can do for Little Dog, that comes on Thursdays at 9:00 on CBC. I play Rico Havoc St. George, who's a boxer from Montreal. And what happens in the show is that I play the rival boxer to the main character. So I'm basically the bad guy. I'm like Apollo Creed and Rocky. I'm that guy. So I can't give away too much because the show is just in the midst of its airing, of its run. So you got to tune in on every Thursday.
How many episodes?
That's 7 episodes for the show. I'm in 6 of the 7. So make sure you watch this Thursday at 9 p.m. on CBC. And it's a comedy, and which is crazy because it's only my first time ever doing a comedy. Yeah. And the crazy thing is people always tell me I'm funny, but I don't think I am. So, but it goes back to your question of what was my favorite character to play or what was my favorite role. And this was kind of one of my favorite roles because it was a comedy. It had its own challenges because I had to play a boxer. So I had to do a lot of boxing prep.
Yeah. I was about to ask you about like preparing for different roles. Like,
yeah. See, that was to date, that was the hardest role I've ever had to prepare for because, I had to be in like peak physical condition. I had to look like a machine.
Show us those muscles, Dwayne.
They're out the window. So I take them off when I'm done work. I take them off and I put them away. Good question, Lynn Dupe. What actor would I like
What actor would you love to work with?
Good question. I mean, we all know the great Black actors out there: Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington. There's so many. But I would probably have to narrow it down to only because, and this has been probably within the last few years that I've really wanted to work with this actor, only because I get a lot of comparisons to him when I walk onto a set. A lot of people consider me as a younger Lawrence Fishburne.
Really?
Yeah, I get a lot of.
Look like him.
I get a lot of that. So and he works a lot in Toronto too. He works a lot.
I know. I heard.
So I would love to work with him one day. Like he's probably. I mean, I would love to work with all of them. Denzel, everybody, Ryan Coogler, Chadwick Boseman. Denzel, you name it, Sidney Poitier, although he's retired, I still want to work with him. Forrest Whitaker. I would love to work with all of them. But right now, the top of the list right now is Lawrence, only because I just get so much comparisons to him.
Someone is asking, how supportive have your parents been with your career choice?
Oh, geez. So early on, when I told my mom first I wanted to be an actor. My dad just kind of learned about it as I was doing it. Bless him, I love him. But my mom was like, okay, all right, because she's second generation Caribbean woman, so she's trying to figure out, what does being an actor even mean? Like, what does that mean, Dwayne? Like, I don't get it. So she just kind of said, okay, cool. Like, if that's what you want to do, then okay, that's what we're gonna do. And I think, as parents do, they just kind of wait and see what happens with their kid. But once she saw that I was serious and like I wanted to go to school and get training and, being in the co-op program and being a stage manager's assistant, being in the theater, watching other actors, working with them. I think once she started seeing me do those things, she realized how serious I was taking my craft and the profession of acting. And then, when I booked my first role in a movie, which was crazy, like 6 months out of acting school, I booked a lead role in a dance film years ago called How She Moved. And my mom was just like, whoa, like my son is really an actor now.
Say it exactly like how she said it.
Well, I mean, there was a couple cuss words in there. Project, look at my son, we. you know, stuff like that. So, you know, stuff like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, my mom is my hugest fan, and I'm thankful for her because, you know, there's been times when obviously I'm human. I doubted myself early on. And, you know, especially when you have success right away, you think that it's always going to be like that. And then, you know, everybody goes through a humbling experience. And then you realize like, oh man, like this is a marathon in this business, not a sprint, because you just got to keep going and climbing the ladder. And, you know, having, you know, my mom and just people that are always rooting for me is the best feeling, man, because then, you know, you don't want to let them down, you know, you don't want to let those people, you know, feel like, you know, oh man, like you were really good. Why'd you stop? And it's like, those are the people that keep me going. So my mom has been my biggest fan, my biggest supporter, and I love her to death. And I don't even have Facebook, only for you tonight. And
I know.
And my mom promotes everything on there.
She promotes stuff hard on Facebook and shares and triple shares.
So I don't need to have Facebook. She's my Facebook.
I'm going to tell you something about that your mom did. So when I posted, I think I posted about a flyer. If you'd like to be on, you know, Cacoa tea and whatever. She comes up in my inbox. She's like, you should ask Dwain.
So this was rigged. This was rigged from the beginning.
We'd already spoken. I'm joking. We'd already spoken. We'd already like confirmed everything. We had our dates and everything. I had your flyer. Your flyer was already created. You had already vetted it and everything. And she's like, you should ask Dwain. You know, I think he'd be good for that. So I'm like, I like Vanessa the flyer.
You see,
I sent her the flyer, and she really routes for you. She's really,
man, I'm thankful. I'm thankful. You always need people like that in your corner, so I'm thankful.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, final question for you,
okay,
Mr. Murphy. I'm going because I'm an island girl, you know, born, raised, you know, in the islands, went to school in the islands, and a lot of times, going straight to Dominica, the arts are not promoted as you'd like it to be. A lot of people pay more attention to the academics. Not a lot, 99%.
And track and field.
Exactly. And in Dominica, it's not even track and field is not even considered as much, you know, as the academics. You know, you have to be a number one student. You have to be this. You have to be on top. What would you say to somebody who is probably looking at you right now in Dominica and thinking, I'm a funny person. I can do this. I do plays in school. I think I can be an actor. You know, what sort of advice would you give a young person who's looking at you now and with aspirations to act, but there's very limited resources to tap into? You know, in the situation, in their own situation that they're in, what would you say to somebody like that?
Well, the great thing now is that, you know, social media is so prevalent now, and it's such a game changer for people, and people are starting to make money off of social media, YouTube videos, and back when there was Vine videos and stuff. So before, if it was early on in my career and you asked me this question, I would say the first thing you need to do is go get training. But seeing as we're talking specifically for the Caribbean, and it's harder for someone to be like, I'm going to go get training, because where would you get the training? The biggest thing I would say now is that the beauty that we have available to us as young creators, actors, artists is this right here, our phones. And the great thing is that you can make a video on your iPhone or your smartphone now and get people to see your talent that way and showcase it and post it somewhere. So for me to answer that question for right now at where we are and where I am in my life, as a young Caribbean person thinking about getting into the field of art in any form, whether it be music, comedy, actor, whatever, make your own work. Don't wait for nobody. Go get your own work, make your own creation, sit with your friends, brainstorm, come up with ideas, because at the end of the day, you know, all the stuff that you guys think that is funny that you're doing in your own time is probably just as funny to somebody else. They're not seeing you guys do it. So why not just make a video out of it, record it, write a script, a small little story, film it, you have all these tools accessible to you. You know what I mean? And it's so easy to reach the world with social media that you can create anything in a matter of seconds. So the biggest thing I would say is, as a young Caribbean person thinking about getting into the arts, is showcase your talent, because your tool to showcase it is in your hand every day. So that's what I would say.
Wow. I did say it was the final, but I have one more thing
Okay.
I want to ask you, because I'm looking at in terms of myself.
Yeah.
I as you know, I do ads, I do commercial,
Uh-huh.
I do a lot of these things, and I'm very critical, of what I when I put out stuff. I'm always like, I could have sounded a little bit better here, and I could have sounded, I could have said, like, sometimes I'll do one take and I could have said I could have, I could have tweaked a little bit on my voice. I could have squeaked a little bit. I could have sounded a little bit motherly there, and stuff like that. How do you criticize yourself when you see yourself in a film?
Oh.
What goes through your mind when Dwayne comes up on that big screen? Little Dog is airing it this Thursday. Like, Dwayne is up on that screen in his gloves and everything, his muscles. And what do you say when you look when you look at it? What goes through your mind?
Oh man. I mean, as an artist, we are our own worst critic, obviously. So to be honest with you, I'll tell you something, to be honest. Half of my work in my career, I don't think I've ever watched. It's only sometimes I really connect with a certain character and I'll be like, I have to watch this. I want to see how I did, because the biggest thing is, if I can make myself believe myself, then I know, for me, I'm like, okay, I'm happy. I did a good job. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the times it just depends on the character that I'm playing and how interested I want it and how interesting that character is, and how I want to see what I did with that character. Because it's hard, because when I'm in it or doing the character, like when I'm doing the boxing and I'm in it. So I'm not really paying attention to what the outside world sees, because I'm in the box. Mm-hmm. So when I finally do get to watch it and be outside of the box, I can finally say, oh, okay, that's what I look like. Or, okay, I like that. Or I didn't like that. So what's going through my mind is that
majority of the time
is, God, I look stupid. That's what's going through my mind. I'm telling you.
I'm giving it 100.
Oh man, I look so stupid. No, I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes I watch it and I love it. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to watch it. Other times I'm like, I watch it and I hate it. But for me, the biggest thing is, I know if on the day when I'm filming it, when I'm in it and I feel good after I did it, then I'm like, okay, I left all of my work in front of the camera at that moment. I'm happy. I don't need to watch it again. It's only if it's an interesting character that I'll watch the finished project. So, like, for example, the boxing, I've been watching that because it was my first time ever playing a boxer. The role was challenging, and it's my first time ever being in a comedy. So I was like, man, I kind of want to see, mainly I wanted to see if the stuff that was written and how I performed it, if it was funny, if people laugh. So it's challenging to watch myself, but it's enjoyable when the character is right and the work is interesting.
Awesome. Rona Azavi says, sounds like you're nearing the top. I'm looking forward to some more of your work. I think that sort of sums it up. I am so happy that you took time out of your busy schedule from opening up a Facebook account just so you could be here with, keep it 100, just so you could be on here with us. And I have no doubt that you're going to be deactivating this as soon as Sipsty, and I get why you do it. Of course, you like to keep your personal life personal, your work life, your work. Yeah. But for folks who'd like to, follow you, you are on Twitter and you are on Instagram.
Yes.
So I've actually put in your handles so people can follow you on there, so they could see your work, see upcoming stuff that you're doing.
Thank you.
And I'm just really grateful that you're able to join me here. my show. You know, a very new initiative.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
And I'm absolutely grateful that you took time out of your schedule. Today's Sunday could be a family day for you.
All good.
And you took time to do that, and I really appreciate it. And I honestly wish you all the best.
Thank you.
You know, in all your endeavors, and keep working hard, remain focused, keep doing you, and I have no doubt that you will be on top.
Thank you.
You know, I have no doubt that you'll be on top. Thanks again to all of you who came on.
Wait. Let me sip my Cacoa tea before I go.
Thanks to your last beat. I was about to ask you where you buy that Cacoa tea. We talk about that off air.
All right.
All those of you who came on, remember to share the video that you've just viewed so that other folks can see. So click share. If you missed it, it will remain on my timeline, so you can actually go back and view it until another video comes on and get pushed back, of course. But it'll also be available on the podcast. So the edited version, so some stuff, you can probably not get everything, but you'll get most of it edited on the podcast. So you can hop on over to Buzzsprout. And yes, his acting name is Dwayne Murphy, someone's asking. And you can follow him. I'll put the handles again in there for you, so you can check him out. If you Google him, he comes right at the top. Trust me. Have you ever done that? Have you ever Googled yourself?
No, because what happens is, so when you have the Google app on your phone and you have your little news feed, it pops up. So sometimes I see myself, but the only time I Google myself is when I go on IMDb. That's it.
I Google myself. I don't care. I want to. I type in, I Google myself.
No problem. Everybody's different.
Right? I Google myself. So you can Google Dwayne if you'd like to, and follow him. Thanks again, Dwayne, for being here. Thanks to all the viewers, all of the listeners who came in, all of you who shared and asked questions. And again, don't forget to share the video. And thanks again for tuning into Cacoa tea. Always have a little bit of Cacoa tea in your life, in the morning or in the evening. It keeps it, they say, chauffe chair. You warm your heart a little bit, and whether it's in the morning, and it also keeps you for the whole day. If you take a nice, good Cacoa tea in the morning, you for the whole day. Thanks, Dwayne. Thanks for being here. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys.